All right, guys, I think we're live. This is Beard of Darkness Book Reviews, which I don't know, I may be changing that to like Beard of Darkness uh, podcast. There's so many of those. Anyway, it's not about me. We've got Joshua Scott Edwards here, indie author. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you, man?
I'm doing really good. So technology,
Yeah, I think we were both
it's
having some technical difficulties
man,
before this.
it's good to relate with people, and look, we're relating right off the rip. I
Oh
just
yeah.
started using a green screen my last interview, which was last night. I think it was last night. Yeah. And it went up beautifully. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, we'll sit and hang out, watch TV for a little bit because, the kids got to go to bed before we can really do anything.
Yep.
And so I go to set up the green screen and, it just had to test my patience. But anywho, how are
Oh
you
yeah.
tonight? And
They're so
how,
finicky.
yeah,
You got to get all the
chroma key.
shadows right and everything. If
And
any little difference in the lighting totally
well,
messes it up.
as you're seeing, like, I apologize to all who are watching, like, you may see a ripple or two, but it's not going to
It's all
take
right.
away from the beauty of an oceans of. Oh, sorry, you introduce your book. Go ahead with that.
Okay. Yeah, I am the author of An Ocean of Others. It's a dark epic fantasy. It's D&D inspired, based on a campaign me and my friends played. And it follows a guy who is basically hunting these mind-bending, reality-warping monsters with his
Ah,
ragtag group of friends. So, yeah, you were telling me you dug into the first chapter today. I'm
yeah.
excited to get your thoughts when you get a little further in.
Well, it's been on my Kindle for a while. Is the light too much, guys? Is that too much light? Honestly.
No, I think you're fine.
All right. So yeah, it's been on my Kindle for a while, and as I'm sure you very well know, us reviewers have, an endless
Oh,
TBR
yeah.
full of
Who
indie, which
doesn't?
yeah, well, absolutely. And then especially people who start reviewing, and I've been shown so much love, and I can't wait to get it to everybody. But yeah, dipping into that finally. I do like two or three at a time. What are you, one book at a time or?
Um, I used to be like very strictly just one book, but now I kind of like split it up. I'll have like one physical read, one Kindle read, and one audio book going. And then for some reason that just helps my brain like adjust to each format. Otherwise, if it's just like I'm trying to read 3 Kindle books, I don't know. I'm sure I could keep track of it, but I just feel like I get lost.
No, I agree with you. Like for instance, I couldn't be reading an 800-page kind of like intense
Mm,
Malazan type where I really have to pay attention to politics and
yeah.
characters, multiple points of view, something like that. But if I've got a couple cozy reads or easier reads, and then I've got the harder one, if you know what I mean by that,
Yeah.
I can do a few at a time.
No, that
Now,
makes perfect
obviously,
sense. It's like
yeah,
what are you in the mood for? I'm like, you're having like a chill night. It's like, all right, let's open up Legends and Lattes. If you're like,
yeah,
I got a little bit more brain power going on, you know,
and I
pull
think
out
that's like,
Malazan.
yeah, that's like the go-to anymore for cozy fantasy. Am I right?
I I mean, it was just so good.
Yeah, it
He did it so well,
excellent.
and
I
I'm
told
sure
my
there's
wife,
so many other great like cozy fantasy authors out there, but
but they need to market like he did, right?
I don't even know that that's like if it's really a marketing issue. I honestly don't know.
Well, okay. So the way that I was marketed to the book was
Mm,
simply, I mean, I hate to say it, but the monster Amazon. It's like,
mm,
oh, you like fantasy, and I know you like this dark stuff, but check out this lighter looking book. And I told my wife, I said, this looks really good, and she agreed. And she's not a fantasy fan, so
mhm.
yeah, I loved that book. Anywho, so let's hear about your. So we heard about the blurb, I guess.
Mhm.
What's the name of your series?
So it's called Dance of the Sibling Sons.
Man,
Yeah, I decided not to
wonderful.
call it like a trilogy or something because I'm not entirely set on only having 3 books. I'm hoping only 3 because I'm very lazy and I would not like
Oh,
to write a 4th book.
well,
uh,
so
I literally just followed you back, John, on your new account.
yeah, unfortunately, he got like an issue going on with
I've
Twitter, but
I've no idea what happened. I saw you got
yeah,
suspended. That
it's
sucks.
yeah. I won't tell you, but I'm sure he will down here if he wants to. But Beardo, let Josh know I got nuked on the Bird app. New account is this. So we just touched on that. We've got Timothy Wolf.
What's up, Timothy?
Yes, thank you, Timothy, for stopping in. And we've got wow, look
Five
at that,
stars.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And what is I don't know what that. Maybe that was
It's
supposed to
like
be like
chef's kiss.
Oh, okay. It doesn't show on my site, so thank you for telling me what
Oh,
that
okay.
was.
You can't see
Yeah,
the emoji.
I couldn't know. Anyway, so yeah, I love when I first heard the name of your series. It's one of those striking, and there's not many that make you go, "Oh wow!" I told my wife, she said, "Oh wow!" I said, "Yeah, that's a really good." How did you come up with it?
Well, it's just world building basically. I think I was sort of inspired by A Song of Ice and Fire. I wanted that sort of like poetic sounding
It is.
BS, like
It's
uh
not though. It's not BS. It's very poetic.
oh yeah. No, A Song of Ice and Fire I feel like is a masterpiece. That's a genius work. So I am not a genius like George R. R. Martin is.
Oh, now I don't
So
know, man. You're being a little hard on yourself.
oh, I don't think it's that hard on myself to say I'm not like up to snuff with George R. R. Martin. That's being like I'm not as good as Brandon Sanderson.
Well, that's part of it luck, and part of it kind of just falling in where you fall in, because just
Yeah.
based off the very first few pages, you're not a bad writer. You're a really good writer.
Oh, thank you.
And I can already tell that. And it's sometimes you have to get into a few chapters to kind of get a prose. It's pretty solid, man. So
Nice.
I think
You should have read
when
the first draft.
well, I hear that a lot too. But it's like that's the reason for a first draft. Am I right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, any first draft is going to be pretty bad, most
And
likely.
what's up with you engineers? Like, you guys aren't just smart enough. You guys can't just like do your own thing. You just got to be authors too. What's up with that?
See, I wish I loved engineering as much as I love being an author. I feel like it would make the day job a lot easier.
Sure. So you
But,
do like software?
Yeah, I do it's called DevOps. It's basically like the infrastructure around the software that we write. Just like making all the tools that support our team and make sure that we can troubleshoot and support our software.
Wow, that's really cool, man. Like, I know absolutely nothing about that kind of stuff, but it
Sorry.
seems very interesting.
It's pretty boring, to be honest.
I think
I'm sure some
we-
people really enjoy it, but
I also I do want to say this. I tend to lag a little bit. So if I accidentally interrupt you, I promise you I'm not trying to be rude at all.
you're fine, man.
My friend.
That's how the internet works. We got
Yeah.
latency.
Exactly. Another word that I have no idea what it means. Anyway, so how is book 2 coming along?
It's going pretty well right now. I'm in the middle of doing my first read through of the first draft, and it's a much cleaner first draft than the first book. Partly because this is the third book I've written now, so got a little bit of experience.
Right? You're evolving.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
The first book actually had the problem of like as I read through the first draft, I could like feel myself getting better as an author and like learning lessons because I was constantly like watching podcasts and like reading craft books and everything. And like by the end, it was like written by a different person.
So
like,
he's an engineer, he's an author, and he's self-aware. Come on, man. No, I'm just joking. That's wonderful. I love to hear it. That's great. And really, as somebody who wants to write, booktuber who wants to write, what? Yeah. So I do want to write, and I hope that it's a natural process, like from what I'm hearing about coming from you. I hear that you started somewhere and it was okay, right? And you just got better, and you've noticed yourself perfecting this process in which you start and you end. And I like that, man. That's being self-aware, and that's really good information for me, and I'm sure so many other people.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, like wherever you start, like the goal is to never be worse than where you started, right? So it's just trying to figure out that like self-improvement process and making sure you're very critical with your own work and not trying to like sugarcoat your own feedback to yourself, and getting outside feedback from people who like respect you and will give you those hard notes, and just being like stoic and being able to take it.
Yeah,
it helps.
I think you touched on a really good point there. Something I'm trying to be better at is being more critical. I'm good at being kind. I'm good at also being nice, but I also need to, if there's something I don't like, I need to be more comfortable with doing the review still.
Yeah.
I think that's a process that a lot of people go through in the realm that we exist in. So how do you use beta readers?
Yeah, I have. Well, I attempted to use beta readers on the first book. I think maybe 2 people finished the book out of like the 5 or 6 I sent it to.
Okay.
But this time I think I had 12 signups, and I'll be sending it to 6 people, and we'll see what happens.
Sorry, guys that are chatting over here. I had my questions that I like to be prepared. So, because I have brain farts quite frequent throughout the day. And,
Me too, man.
So I had that opened up on the side here, and I was totally blocking the comments. Thank you guys for the comments, and I hope they continue. But Timothy Wolf says, you mentioned the book 2 has a few POVs. Are they all first person?
No. So 2 of them are actually third person.
Wow.
And this is something that was sort of inspired by N.K. Jemison's Broken Earth trilogy, how she writes in second person for a big chunk of the story, but there's actually like a reason for that in the plot, in the text. It's not just like a weird stylistic choice that she was just like, I want to write something in second person. She actually justified it within the story. And so I'm attempting to do the same thing for why certain characters are third person and one guy's first person, because the whole first book is one POV, sort of. It's hard to get into a specifics.
Understand.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool, man. Yeah. So, wow, that takes some cojones. We'll keep it clean here. That takes some bravery.
It's a family show.
Exactly. It goes back and forth. You can say whatever you want, but
Yeah,
I've got kids. Yeah.
9 p.m. This is prime time.
Prime time. And I mean, what could be more prime than having Joshua on the show? Thank you so much. I've been we've had this planned for a little while.
Yeah, it's been like a month or so, right?
I think it's been more than that. I feel like it's been more than that. Maybe I'm wrong,
Time just goes by at a warp speed these days, so you're probably right.
I guess what I'm getting at is that I've anticipated it. Really, when you sent me that little snippet for the Indie Spotlight, I was so impressed. Oh, cute dog, by the way. What is the name? I've been wondering. You have a very unique name for that dog.
Oh, yeah. His name is Nazgul.
Nazgul. What is that from?
From Lord of the Rings.
Now, see, I've watched. Wow. I've watched the movies, but this is a big topic I talk about. Mm-hmm. I have not read the books, and I'm waiting until my son's a little older. Now, was he in the movies?
Yeah, so he's like the Black Riders, the guys who pursue Frodo. They're all called Nazguls.
So throughout the pond, right? They're the dead pond, the pond.
That's the dead marshes.
Yeah.
This is like book 1. Like, I feel like the iconic shot is when they're all like hiding under the log, and there's like the guy in black, like all cloaked, and he's like looking down and like smelling them.
That's Nazgul.
That's a Nazgul, yeah.
A Nazgul.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm so glad that I know that, because I loved that name, and you, sir, are the first time I've ever heard that, and I've watched Lord of the Rings like 20 times.
Oh,
I haven't read it, but awesome, man. That was a cute dog. I love it.
Oh, he's adorable. He's a handful.
He looks like the kind that you can like just cozy up to.
Yeah, he was definitely like very cozy. He'll just like fall asleep on my lap or like on my feet while I'm like eating breakfast at the table or something. But now he's getting a little bit older. He's a little less likely to just like climb into my lap and like cuddle. I've heard that's pretty normal for schnauzers. He's a mini schnauzer.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, they apparently have sort of bad backs. So it just gets kind of uncomfortable for him, but he still cozies up to me and cuddles, and it's real cute.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the cutest dogs I've ever seen.
Oh, I know. He's got these like bright blue eyes that are so striking. Everybody comments on his eyes.
Yeah, he's a wonderful looking, beautiful dog. So I had to make sure you knew that I thought that. We've got absolutely. Chris Navo is popping in. Howdy, gents. Yes, thank you, Chris.
Good to see you again. I think the last podcast I did was on a panel with him.
I watched that today. I was curious as to I was curious as to who you'd gotten on a podcast or done a live with. As people do their research, and it was wonderful.
Fun. That was a good combo. We talked about like AI and spiffbos, lots of stuff.
Man, you literally just took the next question out of my mouth. Check that out. I'm telling you. So how has it been how has the journey of Spiffbo and I been?
Yeah. Well, just right off the bat, it was just like immediately fun because there's just so much energy, and it really feels like this sort of like rallying point for the community to come together. And I feel like you get so much more interaction with other authors. You get to meet all of these other authors who like you just weren't even aware were out there, just because there's so many people writing books, and it's
Sure.
just impossible to know all of them.
It is.
And the fact that it filled up so fast this year, I feel like it probably had more energy on social media than most other years, is my guess. What's up, Mike?
Yes,
Michael
thank
F.
you,
Kane.
Michael F. Kane. Thank you for stopping in, brother.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Hail Michael Kane.
He's a hailing kind of guy. I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, which was my favorite benefactor? Oh, hold on, I'll answer that. Let me finish my thought on the Spiffbo.
All right.
So Spiffbo, yeah, I mean, it's something that I sort of just discovered last year because I'm fairly new to the indie writing community and everything.
As am I, so I get it.
Yeah, and so I mean, I can't really compare with what the last years are, but it's been just so much fun this year. It's been awesome to see like some people who I've talked to and know and like recognize become semifinalists and finalists, and I'm just like rooting for them. And then for my blog, we're basically like radio silence. They've cut 5 books. I think that was in like early or maybe like mid-August, and there's been nothing since. So who knows what's going on behind the scenes.
So yeah, one of the biggest things, and much like you, it's a newer concept to me. I know Mark Lawrence does it. I know that, I know that there's some wonderful books going around. Stupid Nat. But as far as keeping up with, and now I was sent a link, and I have yet to explore it. Zach Argyle's page, but other than him, it was hard for me to do research and know who's been in before, who's in now, who's out now, when the next stage advances. I think it has some growth yet, in my opinion, like as far as making those like a concrete date. Am I right? Or is there a concrete date already set?
I think there's a pretty concrete date for like the end of phase 1.
Okay.
It would all be on Mark Lawrence's blog. He's got it split up between like maybe like 3 different pages or something. There's like a process page. There's like a phase 1 progress page, where that is, I think, where everybody gets like that's considered like ground truth. He'll post like all of like the updates from all the blogs as they come in. And he basically just edits the website and just adds like 1 line and just keeps going until everybody's covered. And then I think there's like a finalist page now, which is, it's got like a matrix of scores and everything.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna have to look at the link that I was sent, Zach Argyle's page, because I hear he does a wonderful job of keeping track of it.
His is like a nice, just beautifully presented website, which you would expect no less. He's a software engineer.
Okay, there's another one.
Yep,
that's cool.
I think that's true. I feel like I remember hearing that.
I'm reading Christopher Russell also at the moment, and he is he's an engineer for sure, but I'm not. I think it's software, a computer engineer. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I haven't talked to him about his job before.
I do know that he's an engineer. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. You've got this analytical mind. You like processes, beginning and it just makes so much sense. Not just saying that it makes sense only for engineers. There's a plethora of minds out there that will work similarly. But
yeah, I'm curious if there's a correlation between like writers who are engineers and like plotters and like people who make outlines. Because I mean, tons of people just like go in with sort of no plan and just vibe.
We've got to do a research project now. We'll have to have a gazebo, double blind.
Yeah.
Right. But
I gotta answer John's question.
Yeah, I was about to throw that back up there.
I just didn't want us to forget about it. If I was smart, and I would have been thinking about what the answer to this would be for the whole rest of the time I was talking.
No, we've got plenty of time, so man, relax.
So my favorite benefactor would be a spoiler, because you don't find out that they're a benefactor until later on.
Thank you for that, by the way.
But I guess of like the main monsters they hunt, I would say probably Loman is my favorite. Yeah, he's oh man, even that's kind of a spoiler, but you'd have to be a really close reader to pick up on that one. Yeah, he's a hunter, and his benefactor monster is like that he's absorbed like all of the animals in the woods that he hunted in like a night of revelry, and just yeah,
Right.
it's it's pretty wicked.
That
He's
sounds
nasty.
super. I had no idea what the hell John was talking about by
Yeah,
benefactor, and I'm glad that it's to be discovered, and that
yeah,
it wasn't just like this broad vague question and I'm a dumbass or something.
yeah. It's related to the book.
Cool. Because John would do that to me, you know.
Oh, he would. He's a troll. No, just kidding.
Right?
Love you,
No,
man.
he's great, man. So Spiffbo 9 has been a fun journey. You've learned a lot. That's kind of what I got from your story.
Mhm.
What was your biggest inspiration for starting, particularly book number 1, An Ocean of Others?
Mhm.
And if you want to touch on it, maybe naming it the series. We kind of covered that. So just the name of the first book.
Like, where did the inspiration of the name come from?
No, let me word it better.
Or just
like your inspiration behind starting that book with
okay.
that plot.
Gotcha. Okay, so I guess the origin story of writing for me is that I started just really enjoying like getting into fantasy probably in college, and I had read fantasy like back when I was a young kid. I read like Harry Potter and the Red Wall series and stuff. Loved that stuff. But then huge reading slump from like 13 to like 23 or something. 10 years.
It's almost as long as
single
mine.
thing. Yeah, apparently that's fairly common, particularly in
particularly
boys. I don't know why. It's because I guess we discover video games and
after
really
puberty,
addictive.
we really don't care about books, right?
I don't know what's up with that, but it definitely hit me. And then at some point, I guess 2011, I discovered Game of Thrones, and I was like, oh my god, this is like way more mature and like character focused and grittier than I knew was possible. And I just loved, I got so hooked on like the r/A Song of Ice and Fire subreddit. I would read like all the wacky fan theories.
Ooh, yeah.
Spend all my time just like reading. I probably read more fan theories than other books.
Now I can't
at
see
that
you
time.
being one of those like negative. I feel like you would be such a pleasant Redditor, like if that's what they call people on Reddit. I'm on Reddit. I don't know if that's what people call them, but
Mhm.
I feel like you're such a pleasant person to talk to. Everything
thank
that
you.
I've seen, yeah, you make people smile. I've heard that in lots of different ways.
Oh,
So
that's really good to hear. 'Cause,
yeah,
yeah, I try to be optimistic and positive. 'Cause, you know, like I feel like it's such an easy path to go down, just like the negative route, especially on social media, because you get
Mm.
rewarded for that. But you know, I like playing on hard mode, and so
I
I
love
try to
that,
stay
man.
positive.
I love it. I wish there was more of that. So you're a shining star. I wanted you to know that that's how I look at you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
But sorry to finish the train of thought.
Please.
Yeah, got super into Song of Ice and Fire, and I started just like fiddling around with like my own world building and stuff. Would draw my own maps and like go over it in Photoshop, and I spent a lot of time on maps, I'll tell you. And then I even started outlining what I wanted to be my first series, which ironically was like pretty much like a Wheel of Time ripoff without me having ever read the Wheel of Time at that point.
Oh, well, then it don't count.
I think it would still count at this point.
Yeah, right.
I've read it now and I haven't written it. So, but I was like, all right, well, this is going to be like a pretty like high concept thing. I just don't think I have the skill for it yet. And so I was like, I should just like practice. And it just happened to line up that my friends were all getting into D&D at the time, and we started playing a campaign. I was not the DM, my friend was, and I was a character named Grim in the campaign. He's the main character of the book, and it was meant to be just like a practice book, like just like going through and taking all the notes I wrote during the campaign and trying to flesh it out into like a full novel. And then I had to go through like all of the adaptation process, because like a campaign with just like notes and just going like sequence by sequence just would not work in a book at all. And the magic system, I didn't want to like rip off Wizards of the Coast or anything, so I had to like transplant my own magic system in, and it was a whole process. I've written articles about the whole process that I had to do about this. But then I was like, oh, I might as well keep practicing like the next step. And this literally just kept going until the point where I was like, oh, this is ready to publish now.
Wow,
And
that's cool, man.
yeah, and then it blew up, and I have like plans for hopefully a trilogy. Like I said, I'm lazy, so hopefully not more.
I have a hard time believing that, my friend. So Bookish Mama 87 says, was coming up with character names hard for you? Solid question, right?
Yeah, that is a good question, because a lot of times in my first draft, I'll just be like, I'll put it in like brackets and just say like character name or like the high cleric's name. Yeah. Or like I'll say like this is a side character who's going to be like named after an alpha reader or something like that. I'm like, I don't know what their name is yet. So
yeah,
it's just like a lot of placeholders. But yeah, some of the character names are just like straight out of the D&D campaign. Like all of the main characters, 2 of them got little tweaks. So like Lorilla became Lorelei because one alpha reader told me Lorilla sounds like gorilla, and that kept bothering them. And I was like, yep, that's 100% true. So I'm going to change her name. And her brother actually in the story Dunax was actually called Dungax, like with a G. And I didn't want the word dung in his name.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like poop humor in the first draft about that. And I was like, this just isn't really the vibe I'm going for.
Yeah. This guy likes poop.
Yeah, that's what everyone's going to talk about. He's just writing poop jokes in his books.
I tell you, I really liked it, but the guy just has an obsession with poop. That is funny. I kind of like what you did, though. I like that idea of taking something you already kind of had in your repertoire, but making it your own.
Yeah. And then other character names are just like, I had too many named characters, so I actually went through and like listed them all alphabetically, and I tried to like spread them out across the whole alphabet. So like X was never used, or like there was like no L's. So I'm like, all right, this guy's gonna start with an L now.
So if your mind is lazy, I'm just over here thinking like my brain does not work as fast as yours or as broad, because I'm not going through the alphabet. I'm gonna come up with a cool sounding name. But I love that. It's the process. I love it, man.
Yeah. Everybody's got their own process.
Yeah. I like hearing, that's one of the like perks of what I'm doing here is I get to hear so many different ideas, and I get to like pick and choose like the little pieces that I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
And I hope that it works out eventually to benefit me in a way, and I can works cited. Remember those from college for you?
Oh yeah. MLA format.
Oh, MLA. Ooh, I forgot about that nightmare until just now. Yeah.
No,
so
I think definitely interviewing authors and like getting there behind the scenes, and like it can only help, right?
Yeah.
And another big one is you hit the nail on the head earlier, saying how you need to be very critical. Like if you're trying to improve your craft, you got to be like laser focused on like what works for you in this book and what doesn't work for you. And it can be hard sometimes to like write that negative review for an author, especially if there's like a lot of just like friendship and reputation on the line there, and you don't want to be like the guy out there tarring and feathering another author or something like that. But I feel like there's a nice middle ground where you can provide critical critique while still being like friendly, and you do it out of a place of love, because you see their potential, and you're like, if you worked on this aspect, your books would be like incredible. But this part just didn't quite work for me.
It comes out of a place of love, and it does for me, because I have a deep love for literature that I found when I was 29, by the way. I turned 33 next month, so
okay,
do the math. It's
I'm not far behind.
Okay, so we're similar in that. That's good to know, because I'm usually the odd one out. I read The Hobbit when I was 6, and and that wasn't me. I read one book. It was called Soldier X. I don't remember who it was by, but I bought it at the Scholastic Book Fair in like 5th grade. I read that whole entire book, and then I went until I was 29.
Oh man, so that's a long slump.
It was, and I just life situations brought me to books, basically. Anyway, I have it would come out of a place of love naturally. It wouldn't have to be like forced.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing it very long. Well, as long as I want to perfect it enough to be able to strongly be critical in the best way possible. So like, for instance, if I'm not digging a book, I want to be able to say, hey, I don't like this part of the story or plot, or this confused me this way.
Mhm.
I'm reading, I'm talking to people, and I'm honing into that craft that I want. So yeah, you're right. I like how you put that. It comes out of a place of love.
Yeah.
Um, so John says, I like to give to everybody. I think it's polite. My book as a goblin girl named Ozzy. That's a good girl name. But every beta reader made fun of it, so I changed it to Ollie. I think
Yeah.
both are equally good.
I guess if you don't want like the Ozzy Osbourne comparisons or something like that.
Naturally, literally the only person I know other than is Ozzy. That's it.
Yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Is your orc or your goblin girl bite the head off of a bat at any point in the story?
Yeah.
See, this is a good reason to change it.
Right,
Getting those
exactly.
jokes. We'll be
It's
just
like
messing with you.
it's like they'll be reading it and all of a sudden just I wonder if this character will bite a bat off eventually. Like, we don't need people stopping and wondering those kind of things, John. E.L. Montague says Hobbit at 6. Yeah, you're right. I was making a point, man.
Yeah. I attempted to read Lord of the Rings at 10 or 8 or something, and I didn't make it out of the Shire.
That's a good way to put it. I tell people, gosh, as much as I love, like I just got this. I think it was just released. I can't see. Let me see. Anyway, it's a really nice. Oh, here it is. Stay tuned. Now it's probably not going to show up because I've got a green screen. But maybe if I do this, nope, still won't. Barely.
Oh no, I see it. Yeah. Okay, is that the illustrated one?
Yeah. So I
have
got
the
it.
same book. No, actually, I have the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings version, but the Hobbit just came out recently, right? Like
yeah. So I
ago?
didn't know it was coming out, and I was walking through Walmart. I said I have to have that because I've been planning on reading my son the Hobbit for some time now, and I know I'm early. He's only 4. I know I've got some waiting time, but I'm still excited. I can still be excited.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's a classic. It's always good to have a classic on your shelves. Plus, with Tolkien's illustrations in there, like they're just so charming, and
they didn't hold back either. Like I went through and looked at some of them. There's some very basic drawings. Like not all of them are going to be spectacular, but I love that.
Yeah, it's authentic. It came from the author himself, and
yes,
I love that. Like so much of Lord of the Rings in pop culture comes from Peter Jackson's films. So like a lot of times you're reading and like that's what you're picturing because you have that visual already. But just seeing this original version and how it's very different from Peter Jackson's, I love that there's just like that dichotomy there. You get a different perspective on it.
And I'll be able to be critical of the movies and the show, of course. Well, I don't want to be more critical about the show. People have handled that by far.
Rings of Power.
yeah, Rings of Power for sure. But when I do finally read, I really want to go through the whole spiel that he did. I know he has multiple books like Hobbit, and then you've got the 3 Lord of the Rings trilogy, and you've got Silmarillion, and then a bunch more, right?
Yep. There's what's it called? The Children of Hurin. I read that one. I liked it, but it wasn't Lord of the Rings. Okay. It's nice to be back in that world, but for some reason, I don't know. It just didn't click for me quite as well. There's like a Baron and Luthien, right? That one's like a love story between a human and an elf. I feel like that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's got like the unfinished tales. There's so much. He's written so much.
Yeah, I'm excited too, but I know that I don't have to necessarily read The Hobbit to get in the Lord of the Rings, and I'm kind of glad for that. I think I'm going to read the Lord of the Rings soon.
Yeah,
but sooner than The Hobbit because I want to save that. I think it'd be a really good experience.
Save it for like first time with your kids.
Yeah, I want to read like maybe a chapter a night.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun, dude. Reading to my kids, like having bedtime stories, that's like something I'm so looking forward to when I have kids.
I was gonna say, I don't think you have kids, right? That's a future for you. I can see you being such a good dad. Absolutely. How many kids do you want?
Probably 2. Yeah.
Okay, that's a solid number.
Son and daughter would be ideal, I guess.
I thought 2 also, and number 4 is going to be here any minute.
Oh, dude! Congratulations, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
I always say people should be having more kids.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And I remember me and my wife like used to stare at each other in the room and be like, God, I'm so bored. That never happens, I promise. Not no more.
Yep, there's no more downtime.
No.
But it gives your life a lot of meaning. So.
It does. You're a genuine guy. I like that, man. So we've got. I like to get to these over here. Okay, so it's good. Peter Jackson represented the material.
Respected the material. Yeah.
Oh,
I feel like
respect. I'm sorry.
a lot of adaptations these days do not respect the material quite as much as Peter Jackson did. You could tell it was a labor of passion.
He, not from a point or a perspective of not have read the books. Obviously, I like to reiterate just in case somebody comes back in. I can tell it was a labor of love because it's just brilliant. I don't know how to put it other than that. From the little things when you first start the Fellowship of the Ring, just how innocent the Shire is. You know, sitting there. Like if there was one spot, if I could take my imagination and be like, okay, you can go to this place. If that was a wish I could have, it'd probably be the Shire, right there when Gandalf was coming in.
Oh yeah, when Frodo jumps on the cart with him. Oh, it's such a good.
You're late. A wizard is never late.
He arrives precisely when he means to.
Oh, right. I love it.
One thing that's nice is it doesn't have to be just your imagination. Hobbiton is real. It's in New Zealand. So if you ever find yourself out in that area.
Well, I talked to EC, total brain fart. He's right here.
EC Greaves, right? Daughter of the Beast.
Exactly. You know. All right. I'm glad you know. And we were talking, and he makes it sound wonderful out there. He said there's parts, of course, it's like, you know, you've got this broad vision of the Lord of the Rings everywhere. He said it's obvious. And of course, it's not like that 100%. But, you know, he said he lives in a beautiful area, and I believe him.
Yeah.
He talked about he grows his own tobacco. Like, that just sounds fun. Like,
that sounds like exactly what a hobbit would do.
Right? Learn how to blow smoke ships.
Yep.
So there's a really good Children of Hurin narrated by Christopher Lee himself. Highly recommend to get into a tougher story. Okay, great. Thank you, Michael.
I hear the Andy Serkis audiobooks are really good too.
I've seen snippets and wow.
Yeah. I'm curious. I hear he sings like the songs and everything, and I'm curious to hear if his Gollum voice is the same as like in the movies.
I mean, I feel like it'd have to be, right? Because
it seems like that would be the smart move.
Yeah, and he's just a really, you know, of course I've seen him in Lord of the Rings, and what was the most recent?
He was in Mandalorian, or not Mandalorian, Andor, the Star Wars one.
Yeah, I'm not huge into Star Wars. I hadn't seen that one, but it was like a suspense movie. It was really good though, but that got me interested in more of what he's done. I said, babe, that's Gollum.
Yeah.
So The Sword of Shannara was my second. Who wrote that?
Ooh.
Oh,
I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, me too.
I have a lot of names flowing around in my head, and I'm not certain about any of them.
I have one of the books. It's like book 7. I don't know. Oh, Terry Brooks, right?
That's what I was thinking. Okay. I wasn't sure. I wanted to say like, no, I don't know. Never mind.
But I picked it up from the thrift shop, like hoping one day that I could complete the series or something.
You just picked up book 7.
I didn't know at the time that it was such a long series. Like, from what I remember about my research, it's pretty long, right? Like 7, 8, 10 books, something like that.
I have no idea.
Or I think. Beardo, don't let him fool you. Josh is a heavy metal drummer. Yes, I found this out. I was so surprised because me and him get along in that way too. I'm a heavy metal drummer as well.
I played a show last night, so it was a rough day today.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I checked your band out. What's the name of your band?
Gravelord.
Yeah, I love the sound that you guys have. Who would you compare yourselves to?
I always find that hard to answer because I'm not as well listened in the metal genre as I am in like well read in the fantasy genre, which is also not extremely well read or anything like that. But I would say like some of my main influences are like Veil of Maya, After the Burial, a lot of like the Sumerian Records bands.
Are you a fan of Lamb of God?
Yeah. Yep. And our guitarist loves Lamb of God, so we got some riffs that are in that style.
If you listen to Chris Adler, that's my style.
Oh yeah. He's great.
He's incredible. He's a human metronome.
Yep.
see here. Yeah, Montague says, how long did it take to write the book and all drafts and everything?
So I guess I started with that process of just sort of cobbling together D&D notes in November 2018. And then the first draft, I think it took maybe 14 months, and then give it like 2 months to do like a read through and a revision guide. And then second draft, I think, was 8 months. And then after that, third draft was like 5 maybe. So every subsequent draft got shorter and shorter, but I think the total time was like almost 3 years for the first book, because I was like, I have to actually learn how to write before I publish something.
That's a realization when you have an ambition about something that you're not necessarily equipped for. I feel like we have a commonality with that. So I'm kind of speaking on it. It's
you gotta
like
start somewhere.
It's like, I want to do this so bad, and I know I'm going to love it, and I want to accomplish this and this and this, but I have to make sure I know what I'm doing before I do it, because I want to treasure that, and I want it to be successful at it.
Yeah, you want to be proud of it. It's going to be out there attached to your name for your entire life, so you better be at least half decent.
That's very important too. I hate to say it, sometimes I feel like the passion isn't always there. That's kind of a negative way to go, but I sometimes I'll look at a book and I'm like, were you really thinking that this would be a success with the cover? And format matters.
Oh yeah. It's so much work to self-pub. Like
it is.
I think a lot of people probably get into it not realizing just how much effort it's going to take. And probably a lot of the constraints are like, if you see like a cover that doesn't really do it for you, or like you feel like this book wasn't edited enough, I'm willing to say like probably 90% of the time that's financial constraint, because a good editor and a good cover artist is really expensive.
Yeah.
Like you can sink thousands of dollars into this and
fast.
Yeah. Like I would say probably if you can save money, like while you're still learning, that's probably a good thing to do. But I decided to not go that route because I'm crazy.
Hey, that's all I need. That's a great explanation. We also get along in that area too, I guess.
You saw Lamb of God and Megadeth last year. That's sick.
So
my bandmates all just saw Megadeth like 2 weeks ago or something. And they loved it. They said it was like one of the best concerts.
Yeah, I'm glad that I saw this comment, because I have a story. I have to get it out now.
Yeah, do it, man.
So I had seen Lamb of God Metallica back in 2011. It was the Death Magnetic tour.
Oh yeah.
So that was a good concert. It was real. Metallica, dude.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then they did Stone Cold Crazy cover, the very last song. That was their encore, Stone Cold Crazy, which is a cover of Queen. Then I saw Megadeth a couple years later, and my ears still haven't recovered. So, dude, Dave Mustaine is loud and he's fast and he doesn't.
Oh yeah,
he's crazy.
Just crank the amps up, turn it to 11.
Great. And their drummer, Mike Portnoy. Speaking of which, John Douglas. That's who I thought. Is it Mike Portnoy
in Megadeth?
Yeah.
Does he? I don't know.
Maybe I'm
He's
wrong.
Like Dream Theater's drummer.
Yes, Dream Theater. You're right. Anyway,
I don't know who Megadeth's drummer is.
No, but Dream Theater's absolutely that's the drummer for Dream Theater. I don't know why I was mixing those two up, but he's amazing. He's wonderful. He's got the biggest drum set I've ever seen, other than Neil Peart.
Oh yeah, Neil Peart. I feel like his drum set is like sort of a meme.
Yeah.
Look up Korn. Their drum set. It's like, not only is it around you, but it's like above you too.
Oh wow! I'll have to check that out.
Crazy.
I wouldn't expect that from Korn's drummer.
Right? He has all of his toms. He has 2 rows of toms, and the top row is like tuned diatonically, and the bottom row is tuned chromatically. I think it is. Okay. I'm not a music major, so I don't know these things.
No, I know what you're saying though. That's wonderful, man. But is there a reason? They're pretty straightforward bands. They're not super technical.
I guess he just likes it. He likes having the options. I wouldn't see any purpose for it.
If I had millions, I may do it. Who knows?
Yeah, right. You got to spend your money on something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's better than what they did spend their money on, which was, I'm pretty sure, meth. Yeah, but so yeah, drum is a way better habit.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's the man himself, EC Greaves. All
Oh,
right, we
nice.
were talking about you earlier, brother.
Are you a drummer too?
Yeah, let's answer us in the chat, if you will.
Damn, there's all kinds of musicians out there. I
Let's
saw
see.
Christopher Brenning was putting out like
Dude,
a joke. I don't think it was real. He was basically like showing off that he's got some sick growls or something like that, and he's like, "I'm gonna start a metal band with
I
fantasy
seen
authors."
that post.
Yeah, dude, that guy just looks metal. First of
He
all,
does. I thought
but
he was in Lamb of God when I first saw him. I said,
yeah,
you look like every member of that band. You know?
he's got the look down. I think it's the beard. So man, you're on your way there too. I think his might be a little longer than yours.
Yeah, but see, he's got a little bit more on top than I do.
That's all right,
But
man. Our guitarist is bald too. So you don't
wonderful.
need
I'm
hair.
sure he's a beautiful, wonderful guy.
His beard's not as long as yours.
Well, it takes time. Like
It does, yeah.
it really like
this is about as much as I can grow right here.
well, my wife's grandfather, he started growing his beard because he liked how mine looked. And I said, do it. I'll teach, get the oil and I'll teach you the whole regimen. This guy is like double me now, and he started so much after me, like so long after me. I'm just I have grudge. I've got a grudge. But no, it takes patience, and yeah, if you can get through the itch phase, you got it.
See, mine's just like really patchy, so I just don't even just go for it.
Well, I get that. John A. Douglas says Jim Wilburn also does some music. Oh wow, I didn't know that.
He does vocals. I think he plays guitar, but he's also learning the drums right now. Yeah,
He's well-rounded.
he recently set out a newsletter talking about like non-bookish things, and he talked about his metal band projects. Like back in the day, he was in like a post-hardcore band, and he was doing like a deathcore thing during COVID.
Wow, really?
Yeah, dude, one of those
Never would have
songs.
expected
I listened to it.
deathcore.
I was like, this is actually really sick. Put it on my workout playlist.
Awesome. We're doing a project, me and 3 other authors. I can't wait to tell everybody about it, like the details and stuff. But DB Rook is one of the guys, and he's got a band. They're wonderful. I don't remember their name, but I'm gonna have to put it out there to you, especially. You will enjoy it.
DM me, send it.
Yeah,
and put it in the description down below.
There we go. So let's see. We got on a side road there for a second. That's wonderful, though. Those are the best conversations of music. Did you have an aha moment where you were like, you know what, damn it, I'm writing?
I guess, yeah. Funny story. So that aha moment was probably like when I first met my wife. So on the first date, we had a fantastic first date. We just like hit it off immediately. It was like we were best friends for years. Like
that's
after
great.
Just a couple minutes. And I was like, yeah, I'm like writing a book right now, because we got onto the topic of just books, and she loves reading like classics and everything. And luckily she's not like a snooty person who's like, only literature is real.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Not Shakespeare.
Yeah, like her favorite books are like Charles Dickens and stuff like that. And
wow.
And yeah, I told her I was writing a book, and I was like, well, I actually should like sit down and like actually make sure this actually happens now, so I'm not a liar to this girl who I really like.
Yeah.
Because like I'd been like toying with writing a book, and I'd been like twiddling around on the side, but I think literally like the next day I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this every single day.
That's
and
the best aha moment.
Yeah. And yep, now we're married. So it worked out. And she's very supportive.
That is wonderful, man. I love that story. That's great. And that's honestly probably one of the best. I ask that question a lot, the aha moment. And it's usually, I was reading J.R.R. Tolkien. So I love that. You was going out with somebody you really liked, and you spoke about writing, and you're like, damn, I got to follow through with this. And look, it's working out. That's awesome.
I'm like, I'm not a liar, am I?
Right.
I just like hold myself to a standard.
Well, I think that's good for us as humans, right? Like to take something that's just a little bit like above where we're comfortable grabbing or jumping off, if you want to put it that way. And that little bit of uncomfortability is going to make you such a better person, whether it's about running that extra mile or typing 10,000 extra words. Well, that's a lot. 1,000 words.
Yeah.
I think that's important as a human.
I am 100%. Like, I think it's the video game Dark Souls that taught me this, which is that like you got to be like really challenging yourself and pushing yourself beyond what you actually thought you could do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to improve. And I feel like there's like 3 different regimes that you could sort of be in. Whereas like one is you're just like you're stressed, but you're not like that stressed. Like you're doing a little bit and you're not really pushing yourself. And then there's like the opposite end of that, which is you're distressed, which is like you're overdoing it and you're gonna like burn yourself out. But then there's that nice like balance, like the knife's edge right in the middle, which I call eustress, like EU. It's Latin for good, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And when you're in that state of eustress, like that's when you're like having your optimal growth, and it's really hard to maintain it. But if you can, then that to me is always what the goal is. And that's why I always like track metrics and try and make sure I'm like keeping data for like how much I'm writing and how much time I'm spending, and making sure I'm not like overdoing it, but also not underdoing it. Try and keep myself productive.
That's a really good point, because I think there is that middle ground, the EU stress. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it put better than that. Is, us gamers, you've got that little middle zone here. It's like, don't you go above this and don't you go below this. And I know it's hard to keep it right here, but if you do, that's wonderful. Yeah. Did you read the EC Greaves? I was like, oh, that's wonderful.
Oh man,
that is a good thing.
If I told her I was a stunt driver, I'd probably be dead now.
It's like, worked out. I really got to prove myself. I got to get a motorcycle right now.
I'm not that dexterous. That's why I sit in a chair all day.
Well, yeah, that's funny, man. He's a funny dude. I can't wait to talk to him again. He's a good guy. So
I really want to read that book, Daughter of the Beast. I've heard so many good things, and it's a Spiffbo semi-finalist, I think. Right?
Didn't know that it was a semi-finalist. EC.
I think
thought we were closer, man.
I could be wrong, and if not, I'm very sorry. But I think Dom from Diminished Books made it his semi-finalist. He's on the Bookborn team, I think. Yeah. Back me up here, EC.
Yeah, what's going on over here in the chat? Let us know, EC. I know it says Ed, but I feel like I should always
use the author name.
Exactly. That's respectful, I think.
People need struggle and responsibility to be complete. I think that's true. I notice just in myself, like if I'm not working towards something and I feel like I have no responsibility right now, I feel like I'm just sort of like wasting away. Just like if I'm just sitting there playing video games all day or watching YouTube and doing nothing else, and I'm not working towards something, it just feels like a meaningless use of my time to me.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed after becoming a dad too. Like the time that I was spending, and it's good you notice now before becoming a dad, it's like there was times in which I could have been doing growth and pursuing something, and I didn't. And being a dad's kind of kicked me into gear. So it's good that you've noticed that earlier, man. Daughter of the Beast is my current read, and it's damned good. Damn,
I've heard so many good things.
Absolutely.
Like E.L. Lyons thread, I feel like that's the first I started like hearing a lot about it, and then from there I feel like it's just sort of caught on. It's great to see.
So yeah, that stupid gnat. I've got a gnat. Sorry.
They always they're attracted to light, so they're always like on your computer screen and everything.
Yeah, he keeps like right by my eye. Like I'll let you over here in this space, but get by this thing, and I'm gonna have to swat at you anyway. So when I talked to you, I put your book on my TPR, and I'm just getting to it. When I spoke to EG or EC Greaves, which was after speaking with you, I put his in my TBR, and I can't wait to get to it. It's got lore in it based on mythology. Just the reason I started a YouTube channel was John Gwynn and his Norse mythology, 100%. So I cannot wait to get to his.
Is that Malice? That series?
No, the Bloodsworn series.
Oh, okay. That was before Malice, right?
No, after.
I don't know what the hell's going on, man.
So Malice was his first book ever, and I have not read that series or the series after, which was in like the same universe, but this is his third series. It's got Shadow of the Gods and
Shadow of the Gods, yeah.
Wonderful cover.
I was gonna say, speaking of great covers.
Yeah. So
In
in
there was
there.
Price of Power. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Michael
okay.
Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
We were chatting about his book on I guess Dom also, or no,
I think it
I
is
just lost my
Dominish
train
that
of
does
thought.
both of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm going to throw it because you have to manifest destiny, right? I'm going to throw it in the ether there that maybe next year I'll be judging some books. I would love that.
Yeah. I mean, I
That's
don't know what the process is to sign up, but I did judging for the SPSFC, like the sci-fi
how was
corollary of
that?
SPFBO. It was very challenging.
I'll bet.
Just it was a lot of reading, and like one of the hardest things was just like getting through the slush pile where you get 30 books to read, and
Where do you start?
Yeah, I literally just put them, I think, in alphabetical order, and I just went through.
Of course you did.
I just made a list and I went through and I was like, yep, this one's really good. No, this one I'm gonna cut. A lot of things you can cut pretty quickly. You can just tell there's like they needed a little bit more polish. But by the end, you're reading like really good books because this whole competition has surfaced some great things. And I really enjoyed all of the finalists that I read. I don't know if I managed to read all of the finalists. My teammates picked up some of the slack.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely worthwhile.
It's not like you have 30 books simply by yourself in the SPFBO.
Yeah, it's all teams.
A team. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. You got 10 teams that read 300 books total, right?
For SPFBO, yep.
Yeah, SPFBO. And what was the name of the contest you were just speaking of?
It's SPSFC, so it's the self-published science fiction competition. Okay. It was created in part by Hugh Howey.
I love that. I've seen it in the Twitter space.
Been out there in the ether.
Yeah, in the ether. But I'm probably gonna ask you again too.
SPSFC.
SPSFC. I take notes because, like I told you when we first started, I'm learning right now. I'm doing classes.
I love it. I guess the mnemonic that we sort of settled on for like we have SPFBO. This one's space fic.
Okay.
Space fiction.
Oh, space
works out.
Okay. Nicely. I like that. That makes it easier, you know.
Yeah.
And you said Hugh Howey.
Yep. So he wrote the Wool and Silo series.
Yeah.
Yeah. That TV show was fantastic. You should definitely check it out.
And I watched the show before I knew it was a book, which I mean, you can almost think it's a book if it's on a show, but wonderful. I cannot wait to read it because look, I wasn't a big sci-fi person until I read Wistful Ascending. And I know it's kind of like a humorous, but the mind space and the imagination and how large things are naturally because space is huge, and it's like I just loved it, and I knew that it was a nice cozy way into the science fiction genre. I've got I can't even think of like the most called upon science. Oh, we've got Red Rising that I bought. I haven't read that yet. Have you read that?
I read the first trilogy, and it was amazing.
Okay, and then, I have not heard anything other than amazing.
Yeah, the first book feels a little bit like Hunger Games, but a little bit more mature. But then it finds its footing in the second book, in my opinion, and it's amazing.
Look at John being flattering.
Just struggling to not have brain farts all the time.
I watch your podcast, so I know better, John. I would like to be reminded of the man and wife that you had on who wrote I think it was 30
was
books
that David
together.
Room and Katie Room?
Is he right, John?
I don't know. That's the only man and wife sci-fi authors I can think of right now.
But I loved it. Yeah. So you're not tricking me, John. I already know.
He's just being self-effacing.
Exactly. So, what is your favorite indie author? What's your favorite?
Don't make me pick one.
You can pick 3 of each if you want. I don't care what your answer is. I just love to hear favorites.
I got to.
Let's do 2 indies and 2 traditional.
All right. Hold on. I'm pulling it up on the Kindle. All right. Let's see if we can do this better than she did. Ah, damn it. Didn't work. Hold on. All right, it's exactly as disastrous as when she did it for me. So H.C. Newell's book. Oh, you could
Oh
almost see it for a
wow,
second there.
that's
I'm
awesome.
reading The Forbidden Realms right now. I think. Sorry, is that what it's actually called?
The Fallen Light.
Yeah, Fallen Light trilogy. The second book
Mhm.
is or sorry, it's not even a trilogy. It's like 6 books. The second book's The Forbidden Realms. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first book that she wrote, The Curse of the Fallen. That
Yeah.
it had some really like solid character work and some really great emotional, hard hitting moments, and they just worked really well for me. So really enjoyed that book.
I'm so glad you said her name. We did 2 interviews like a month ago,
Yeah,
and I can't wait to get to her books. Yeah, I hear they're dark. Is that true?
yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
There's definitely some chapters where I was like, oh, you're being really mean to your characters here. I love
Uh-oh.
it. So that's it. That book definitely worth picking up. It's based, I guess, if you like The Witcher or Skyrim, I feel like you'll feel right at home there.
Awesome.
Her main character, Nier, is like, she just reminds me so much of Ciri from The Witcher. And so I just picture Ciri in my head the
Yeah.
whole time while reading. And I love Ciri in The Witcher.
Who
So
doesn't
it
love The
works out.
Witcher? I mean, there's lots of people who don't love it, but I mean, lots of people love The Witcher.
Yeah. I personally, for me, the video game is the best version of The Witcher.
It was my first experience.
Same.
Video
I
game.
feel like the first is probably the one you remember the most
I
in a lot
think
of
so.
cases.
So it was Steve Miller and Sharon Lee.
Oh, okay. It wasn't David and Katie. See, I'm just talking out of my ass over here. I don't know what's going on.
Well, no, I got 2 recommendations out of that answer, so I'm good. Sharon Lee. They were so like, I mean, I think people know what I mean when I say this. They were like cute. They begin a long relationship.
Oh, nice.
They've done this thing together for so long. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
It was out of love. You could tell that they were doing it because they loved what they were doing, and they did it together. And I think that probably brought them really close.
Yeah.
So it was really refreshing. So, John, you can't trick me.
All right. Let me think of some more indie authors here. We got Zamil Akhtar. I really liked his Gunmetal Gods.
Yep.
I listened to that one on audio, and the audiobook narrator did a really good job. Like there's some really emotional moments, and like when the characters are struggling, you could like hear the pain in the narrator's voice. And I feel like I've listened to a lot of audiobooks that don't reach that quality.
Yeah, lots.
But I got to give it a shout out to Podium Audio. I feel like they're just killing it lately. They did my audiobook and cast an incredible narrator. He's got so much range and does excellent character voices. And almost every, no, let me revise that. Not almost every, but every audiobook I've listened to by them has just been great, like super high production quality.
So that's one of the links I'll get from you when we
yeah, for sure,
are done here, because we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Chris says, sorry late to the party, but I look forward to watching the full interview later. Thank you. We both appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Chris.
And there's 2 things. I didn't know that you had an audiobook. I could have done some more. I did my research. I just don't know why I didn't come across that.
Podium's going to send their assassins after me for not promoting it enough.
No, I'm glad you did, because like I said, I will absolutely link them. That's great to know, because look, there's a couple different things I'm switching up about my TBR pile. There's going to be reads that I'm doing, and then there's also going to be some audiobooks that I feel like I like audiobooks.
Yeah,
if I'm doing the dishes.
Yeah, that's one of the best things is you can listen to an audiobook while just doing something else.
Yeah.
For me, it's like usually while driving. I got like an hour drive to my bandmate's house, so on the way there and back, I set it to 1.75 speed, so I essentially get like 3 hours out of it.
I'm so glad that I'm not the only person that does. I thought I was weird or something.
No, man. I feel like your brain just adapts. At this point, I can't listen at 1x speed. It sounds like they're talking through molasses or something.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. 100. And the second thing was when Zamil comes on the channel next month, we're going to bring you up, and I'm going to make sure he knows that. I'm sure he knows that. But
we've chatted.
But it's going to be so cool to tell him that we talked about him already.
Yeah. Gunmetal Gods, super ambitious series.
What a title.
Oh yeah, and just the cover too.
Yeah,
the
it's like
Lovecraft character on there, or like the god.
You stole the words out of my mouth.
Mm.
The character in the background, it looks like the squid.
Oh yeah, like
There
Cthulhu.
he is.
Oh, he's here now.
He's
What?
here,
What are the odds?
my man. He has shown up for a few of my interviews. I'm sure more than I noticed because he's probably a shy guy.
I'm sure there's a lot of lurkers. I'm
Yeah.
usually a lurker when I go to a live stream.
Thank you, Zamil, man. We're over here talking about you. His ears were burning, and he tuned in. He's like, "Oh, they're talking about my book." Wonderful.
It's 10 p.m. here, so it must be like early morning for you right now, Zamil, right?
Yeah, because you're on India Standard Time, right? Isn't that what it is, India Standard?
I think.
Oh,
I feel like
look at that. He's a humble man. This is not the first time we've said his name, and he didn't chime in.
Oh, man.
I've been here this whole time, but yes, I was lurking. Thank you, man.
He's here in every stream.
Gunmetal God. Of course he is. So we've got John Douglas asked, speaking of Gunmetal Gods, and the author appears. Yeah, so cool.
Who else do I want to appear? You hear about a Game of Thrones? You
ever heard of the guy that wrote that guy?
Oh, George R. R. Martin's here. It's crazy.
So if you could, who would come into the chat and speak with us right now if you had to choose one? Would it be George R. R. Martin?
I guess Brandon Sanderson. Let's bring him in.
Me, it would be not a fantasy author. Well, he's done great fantasy. I have to throw him now. James Clemens was his first pen name. He did the Banished and the Broken series. Here's one.
I wish my bookshelf was like in reach. I have to go all the way back there, and then you'd see I'm just wearing like some raggedy sweatpants.
So I think this is like book 4. James Clemens.
Oh, nice.
He also has another pen name that most people know him by, and it's James Rollins. And he's got the
that chroma key is doing me dirty right now.
It is. That's okay. The Moonfall Saga. But yeah, he would be the one. Or J.M. Miro. Those two guys got me into fantasy.
I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? And you know what it is? Is last time I popped in here, I think it was when you were talking to not James Doolin. It was with Mike Molman. And I just saw so many James Clemens books on your shelf. And I was like, this must be his favorite author. Like you have like 20 of his books up there.
He's a wonderful author, man. He's a published guy, but his first work is great. It's like I said, the Banished and the Broken series. It's really good. It's an adventure. It's not like this grimdark stuff that I've been reading, which I love. Yeah. It's a real adventure.
Say Ryan Cahill 3 times in a mirror, and he shows up and puts your sales to shame. Dude, he's a machine. He's up there with like Brandon Sanderson and just word count, I think. And just
I'm gonna have to throw him out there now. He's agreed to an interview. We just haven't done up a time yet, so it's inevitable. I just can't give you a time, which I can't wait. He's one of the guys I look up to, man.
Yeah, no, he's just an inspiration. Just you love to see any self-published author just do that well, but he's just really blowing up. And I really feel like a big part of that is just how fast and how consistently he puts out good quality books.
It's quality.
That cannot be easy.
No. And he's got a family. I don't know if he has kids. I don't think he has kids, but he's got a wife, and life happens to everybody.
Yeah. They just got married recently, I think.
Yeah.
So I think congratulations, Ryan, if you're here.
If you're here, thank you. Or if you watch in the future.
Yeah.
If books were assault weapons, Ryan, yes, they're bricks, bro.
I know. It's honestly one of the things that is putting me off of reading them right now. Just like I really want to read that series because like I want to see what all the hype is about. But at the same time, I feel like I don't have it in me to read like.
So I've got the Fall and I've got Blood and Fire read.
Okay, I've only read the Fall, which was good. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's they're all good. It's all the ones that I've read so far. So I think it's what you're saying. Excuse me. I don't have time for one book that's 1,000 pages. It's don't.
It's like I got to figure out where to slot that into the TBR. I'm such a mood reader. It's bad.
I think a lot of us find out that we are. If you're
Mhm.
not into sheep, there's nothing much else to do here in New Zealand. Well, speaking of New Zealand too, that's where Ryan's at. I wonder how far you guys are away
That's
from each
true.
other.
Yeah, he moved to New Zealand, right? He lived in
Yeah,
Ireland and
I
moved to
think
New
yeah.
Zealand.
I think he's from. I didn't know he was from Ireland. I
I
do
think
know
so.
that he lives there.
He's got an Irish accent. Very
I'm not
charming
good
Irish
at
accent.
placing. I'm not good at placing accents. I would have grouped that, and I'm so sorry for anybody from the UK, but
Just
I
be
would have,
like, he's British.
as an ignorant American, I would have said an English or a British accent. But again, I'm an ignorant American, so Anyway, yeah, to be on the channel eventually. That will be very fun.
Yeah, I'll
When
be
did you? Thank you. When did you guys, or when did you discover your love for literature? Was it young? Were you older?
I definitely read a lot when I was younger. I had the problem that my wife has now while reading when I was younger, which is that you start reading and then you fall asleep 3 pages in.
I do that.
I think it's almost like a Pavlovian response. Like you do that enough, and now all of a sudden your brain is like, "Oh, we're reading. It must mean it's bedtime."
Well, I think that it has to do a lot with too. Like you find yourself at work, you find yourself, oh, I'm so tired.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think it's always a physical thing. Your mental stability, well, not your mental fitness,
Mhm.
has a lot to do with that. It's got to. You're laying in bed naturally comfortable. You've made your
Yeah.
bed a comfortable place, and you're reading something that you like. You're enjoying yourself, and sleeping is enjoyable as well. So it kind of
true.
all mixes together. You've got some serotonin going on, and you just go to sleep.
Yep. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's
Right?
I've tried reading my own book to my wife because she's like, "Ah, read it to me. It'll be like a bedtime story." Yeah, that's what you want to read when you're trying to fall asleep, is like grim, dark, gruesome monster killing.
Every night.
But yeah, we'll get like 2 pages in, she's just out, and I'll always ask her like, "What do you remember from last time?" And her answer is always nothing.
Just kind of page one again, please.
Yeah. We're on
My
the
wife's,
second to last chapter, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't know the story at all.
yeah, which is like, that's okay. You got
Yeah,
me here in
that's
this
fine.
position. I made you a promise, and I'm coming through with it still.
Yeah.
So my wife is reading Lonesome Dove right now, and she is loving it. She's on page 700. She told me before I got on. She said, "I'm so sad." I said, "Why are you sad?" She said, "It's only got like 100 pages left." She said, "I don't think anything is going to match Lonesome Dove."
It's just like that good. It's like her greatest of all time.
She has had to like have a closed mouth by me because she just wants to tell me all about it, and I'm just like, "Oh, I love that. I want to hear about it, but I'd love to read it and enjoy it too." Like
Who's
that's
that by?
Larry McMurdy.
Okay. Is that
So,
like nonfiction, literary fiction,
no,
contemporary?
it's a western, and I'm glad that you're not very aware of it. So
No, I'm
the reason,
very unaware of a lot of things.
me too. Joe Abercrombie, I'm a huge Joe Abercrombie fan.
Yeah, he's
so
top 3 author for me.
Yeah, 100%. So naturally, I go on BookTube and I want to watch every interview he's done, anything so he mentions this book, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then all of a sudden, BookTube is flooded with it. So naturally, I check into it, and it's like, you don't have to love westerns. It's like, if you're gonna read one western in your whole life, you have to read Lonesome Dove. And from what my wife says, because she's not a western fan either, she says it's just absolutely wonderful.
Well, my ever-growing TBR has just acquired another book.
It is like 850 pages.
Oh, okay.
It's
huge. Down. It's clear.
It's
close to the bottom
like,
of the TBR.
I think she's on month 4.
Oh yeah, that's about how fast I read, which is a problem because like you want to read a lot of indie books and like keep up with the market and everything.
Tell me about it.
And I'm just like, so my tastes and my appetite is much faster and bigger than what I'm actually capable of reading.
Michael, we have the same problem, my guy. My next TBR adventure is Mr. Andy Peliquin.
Oh yeah,
Dark Blade. If you can see it, I know I've got the chroma key thing going on, but I interview him in about a month, and I'm hoping that I get through most of it. I like to talk characters and stuff. So Lonesome Dove should be mandatory. So effing good. Okay, I'm glad that you agree with like 99% of everybody else, because that says something about that book. Like, if I ask what inspired you or what author has his hand in the way that you write, and I hear Tolkien 1,000 times, I love that answer regardless of repetitious. Like, there's a reason for that, and I like to exploit that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's foundational.
It sure is. E.L. Mott and Lonesome Dove is the best miniseries. Okay, so as far as on TV, I did hear that they did, a while ago.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but a lot of people have. I know Matt from Go Read Books had watched the. Palmer had watched the miniseries. It's like a kid or something, and it picked it up, and it's top 3 book for Matt too.
Man,
thank you for stopping by, Palmer Pickerington.
Good to see you, Palmer. What was I going to say? It's just crazy how many books there are out there that are just like extremely well beloved. You ask people that'll be like in their top 3, and you've just never heard of it. It's just like passed you by somehow.
Yeah, I get that feel. I know what you mean. I do want to make sure that I forget things really quick, so I sometimes I'll like blurt out thing, and I'm going to do that. Palmer's going to be on the show. I'll have to look at the calendar when we set up, but her book is on the way, and she's going to be on the show, and I can't wait. I've heard such good things, and I believe she's still in the SPFBO right now.
Yeah, Heliotrope, right? Was that also a semifinalist?
I believe so. Yeah. Let us know, Palmer, down in the chat.
I love this is like more just SPFBO greatness. It's just like seeing all the other authors come in, and I'm like, oh, I recognize you. You're a semifinalist.
It's been awesome. Such a good chat live so far. Wonderful. Really love that, man. That is correct, she says. Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. What a great name, too. Yes, congrats. Excuse me. I'm going to ask you another hard question. Give us 3 of your favorite books.
3 of my favorite books. Okay, so my rating system is basically like, if it made me cry, it's probably a 5 stars. And the books that made me cry the hardest, I would say, are The Way of Kings, A Storm of Swords, and
I've heard that from Storm of Swords.
Oh yeah,
it's like book 7, reason. Right?
No, that's book 3.
3, okay.
Yeah, I wish book 7 of that series was out, because that would mean it's done.
See, I've read book 1, Game of Thrones, so
it's
I'm
a
sorry
masterpiece.
About that. Yeah, it's great.
That's okay. What else? Oh man, the third one's gonna be tough, because I feel like for whatever reason those 2 are just like
Joe in there.
Joe Abercrombie, I love his voice and his characters and everything. And like they're masterful. Like his characters in particular, his character work is like something I aspire to. Because for me, like he somehow has, his dialogue is incredible.
And then Johnny
has like
was
this
a good Down Under. Sorry. That's gonna be really offensive.
You said you were bad with accents, right?
Yeah, I just know that wasn't offensive, and I totally interrupted Joshua. Okay. Go ahead, Josh.
It's good to see you, Charlie. He's going to be an alpha reader for my second book, actually.
Oh, that's so cool. He just became a part of Fanfi Addicts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, they're gobbling up everybody.
Yeah.
You're there too, right?
Yeah.
I thought so.
I can't wait to do all the reviews that I'm so excited to do on there and get people's name out and stuff. But yes, I'm part of it too, and I'm so happy. That's such a cool little place.
Yeah. Oh man, it's cool just seeing like that. It's like a lot of the people who are just like I've just seen around on like Twitter or X or whatever, and now you guys are just like becoming part of the publications and everything, and doing the magazines and the blogs and everything.
It's just so fun. Really cool. I think the people that are like passionate about it, he said, I'll forgive you for the Aussie accent. Thank you. Because I
don't forgive him for that.
Yeah. Don't hold me accountable to at least work on it.
Yeah. When you have Ryan Cahill on, you gotta get him to judge your New Zealand, Australia accent. So
I hope Charlie knows this. He comes to a lot of my lives here, so he should know this. My favorite thing about doing these, especially with people who aren't like me and you are pretty close. You're in PA, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
I'm just in Ohio, so
okay.
So I'm really not far from you, maybe 5 or 6 hours at most.
Yeah.
but one of my favorite things is learning culture. And even I've found that even people as close as you and I have a little bit of a difference of culture. Your day is different than mine, and I love hearing about it. So I know Charlie knows that. Some people will take offense if I do like an accent, or other people. I've seen people take offense to that. I hope he doesn't take it that way. Timothy Wolf says it reminds me of guilds in World of Warcraft. What does booktube or maybe I'm losing track here.
Losing our mind.
Yeah, reiterate what you're talking about, Timothy. And Palmer says regarding SPFBO and your book and fantasy faction.
Yeah, they are tight-lipped for sure.
So is that the name of the group? That's
fantasy faction. I think they have like maybe 10 reviewers, and that probably is contributing a little bit to why they haven't made as many announcements. Because like if you're trying to organize 3 people, it's a lot easier to do it than if you're trying to organize 10 people, and like one of those people could just be behind for family events or just like life stuff, and that could delay for everybody. And that's just how it is. And
the natural
I'm not complaining. I'm curious because I feel like at some point it's just going to be like a fire hose, because they're getting so close to the end of phase 1 now. Like I think I don't know the exact date, but I feel like it's in a month or 2 maybe. And
I'm excited.
Me too. I want to see like who all the finalists.
I've talked to a lot of you guys that are semi-finalists, and I'm rooting for every one of you. I'm really happy for you guys, and all of you are wonderful people.
Oh, thank you. Reviewer teams. Yeah, it is like guilds in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. And I want to hear it. Believe me, I would love that.
You got to do a New Jersey accent. Yeah. You can nail that.
Do a Jersey. See how terrible mine is? Now you
that was bad.
It was bad. I promise.
It's okay.
So don't be intimidated. Do it. Travel is essential to an education. You learn that everyone everywhere is pretty much the same. That's so true. I love that.
A lot of similarities, but then you also notice like the little differences. And I feel like traveling to Australia and or sorry, not Australia. I totally lost my train of thought because the dog is coming down to go out for a walk, I think. Oh, there he is.
There he is, the man himself.
You want me to bring him?
Oh, sure. Here is Nazgul.
Yes, Nazgul.
It's very dark.
I was talking about you, buddy.
Oh, there he is.
Yes, that's my guy.
Say hi, buddy.
He's very sleepy.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
He had to give you a smooch before he goes outside.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. I have to put that in there. He made a stop.
Yes.
That was awesome.
What was I saying? When we went on our honeymoon to Rome and to Vienna, like you really appreciate the things that are like really well done over there, like public transport.
Yeah.
Like their trains are just, especially in Vienna, they're just insane. It's like every 3 minutes there's a new train coming by, and you barely ever have to think about it. It's like easier than walking. Whereas here, I'm like, all right, I got to plan my whole day around my 2 train trips.
Yeah.
And like almost half the time they're like a couple minutes late, and every once in a while they'll be like, there's leaves on the track, and so the whole train is canceled or like 45 minutes behind.
You take a train to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's different than me. That's cool to hear.
Yeah. I can't drive into the city every day. It would just destroy me.
What, Pittsburgh?
Philadelphia.
Oh.
Yep. More on the east of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Gotcha. I got like a C- in geology. Can you tell? So,
That's okay.
What is next for you?
What's up next for me? That is a great question because I'm sort of undecided. Okay. Part of me feels obligated to immediately jump into book 3 in the Sibling Sons series. And I think that's probably the smart move. That would basically be like in November, I sit down and I bang out the outline, and I'll just be like ready to go for when book 2 is published. I can start drafting this one right away. That's a likely scenario. The other scenario that I sort of want to do, but feel like it's not the smarter move, is I've been publishing a serial on my website called Grave of the Waiting. Yeah, I really love that story. It's a sci-fi. I always pitch it as like Alien meets the Matrix, but it's like a first contact story where a group of engineers and scientists, as all sci-fi things
Mhm.
follow. They
That's cool.
yeah, he's here being disruptive again.
No, he's absolutely welcome.
Go ahead, bud. There he goes. He's like dragging his leash around. But yeah, it's like a first contact story with like cyberpunk and post-apocalyptic stuff and space travel, and it's like a hard sci-fi. And I've been publishing one chapter every month, but then I sort of got close to the deadline for Sibling Sons 2, and I had to put that on hiatus. And I really just want to sit down and like revise all of the rest of that, and then just like put it together and release that in between doing Sibling Sons 2 and 3. So that's
So
also
you're really
a possibility.
enjoying that series or the serial.
Yeah, it's the serial I would probably not ever do again.
Okay.
But it was definitely like lessons learned. I was just trying to like keep myself accountable and like writing something new every month, and I tried to get ahead, so I had a bit of a backlog, but I learned that I'm really bad if I can't focus just on one thing. So
Okay.
if every month basically I would have to sit there and revise this chapter as like the last week of the month, and then I have to like context switch back to Sibling Sons 2, and then I have to go back to Grave of the Waiting, and all this flip-flopping I feel like really slowed me down. And so I feel like it's probably not the wisest decision to do that unless you just have it all ready to go, and that's just what you want to do, is like release it piecemeal as a serial. But if you have to work on it like every month and try and keep that deadline going, it's a lot of pressure. It's very
Yeah, I
stressful.
can't imagine. And this is just from like an outside perspective and just kind of understanding the outlines of what you guys are doing. Yeah, that's a lot just from my point of view. So I can imagine yours.
Yeah.
So I had a fun, I wanted to ask you a fun question before we got off here. And that was, what is your favorite sports team?
Ooh.
Or favorite sport and favorite sports team?
Okay. I guess my favorite sport probably is soccer, because I just grew up playing soccer a lot. But to be honest, I'm not much of a sports watcher these days. I'll like sit down and watch like the Eagles game with my wife every once in a while. She's a big Eagles fan.
Okay.
But I think there's like a module missing in my brain, which most people have, that lets them like pick a sports team. But for me, I'm just like, I don't know. They're all the same. How do I distinguish between them?
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. Now, see, I grew up, my mom and dad are from northern Michigan, and I live in Ohio. And as you well know, I'm sure that Michigan and Ohio are they hate each other.
Yeah.
And I'm close to Columbus, but I'm a huge Michigan Wolverines fan. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, Detroit Tigers fan, Detroit.
So you're a Michigan guy.
Huge. And huge hockey fan. I love hockey. Detroit Red Wings.
That was my hockey team growing up.
Was
purely
it?
Because I liked the color red.
Steve Yzerman. Darren McCarty.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I feel like
It's
Steve
Osgood.
Yzerman sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like NHL, like 1997.
Yeah,
like,
that's his prime.
Yeah,
that's his prime. Okay. Can I ask you when you were born?
Yeah, 1991.
Okay, so we're the same age almost. I was born in 90.
Okay. Yeah, you said you were turning 33 like next year, right?
Next month. Yep.
Next month. Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So cool. Yeah, and of course we've got John and here going Go Tigers.
I feel like that's a Mississippi thing.
It is. It's
right?
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah,
I just remember
recently found that out too.
Books. Yeah, talking about that on Twitter.
I said, "Is that your last name? GEA?" You know, I know that's Go, but I didn't know it was a Louisiana thing.
Yeah,
you schooled me on it. But this is kind of the point where in the interview where I kind of say, "Is there anything we haven't talked about that you'd like to highlight?"
Not that I can think of.
No, that's okay.
Like all interviews, I just come extremely unprepared and just hope for the best.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer because we covered everything you wanted to go over. That's wonderful. And I really went through everything I wanted to find out from you and kind of bring forth.
Actually, I do have a question. Is your goal to just interview every single indie author that exists? And do you have a deadline for that?
No. So really is, I hope I can, obviously that's not going to happen, but
it feels like you got everybody on here, man.
I hope to bring joy to anybody that loves fantasy or indie authors and fantasy, sci-fi, and even some horror. I don't know about many other genres because I do read outside those, but not
Mhm.
much. So I've kind of specified within those genres. But I found the indie space to be a much more genuine, kind. You guys root for each other's teams. It's not a
Yeah.
competition. I'm at where I feel comfortable, where I love, and I hope that before I die, I can interview as many indie authors and scream your names from the rooftop as I possibly can.
Dude, that's awesome. And I really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
it feels like you're doing really well just growing the channel. Like I feel like you sort of popped up out of nowhere and you're already at like 500 subscribers, aren't you?
Yeah, like I think it was 515 before I started. And I hear that a
Oh,
lot,
okay.
and it really means so much to me because I had no idea. I thought I was just going to review some books because I really like Mike's reviews.
Mhm.
But then I take certain booktubers very serious, and those guys interview people. And I really just took it and ran with it. And
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun, and I love people. So
Yeah.
thank you for asking.
I love just doing interviews like this and just chatting and meeting some cool people. And if there's like a panel that you're ever doing,
Yeah.
I'd love to be on it.
Sure, man. Thank you for seeing. I think some people are maybe a little bit nervous to say things like that, and I'm glad that I know that about you. So thank you for letting me know that. I will keep that
Yeah,
in
for
mind
sure.
100%. But I guess we're at the point now where we kind of have to say thank you, and I've
Got
been
work in the
honored.
morning, sadly.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, the kids are gonna be up early.
Yeah.
I would go and we'd keep the chat up all night if I could, but we're adults, right?
Well, we'll have to hit the live stream record next time.
Yeah, I'm
What do you
glad
got,
that
like
you
2
picked
hours
that
or
up.
something?
That's funny, man, that you know that. Yeah, Michael Michelle was so salty, but that's okay. I told him he'll have another shot at it.
Yeah.
But we'll get this last question. What I like about indie reviewers is I get bored with traditional reviews. I read most of the older books, and new trades can be underwhelming. That's a good take.
New trads, I'm guessing that is. Yeah. I feel like a lot of trad books aren't really working for me these days. It's so difficult because like there's the sort of perception that like trad is like the legitimate path and everything. And I feel like that's a lot of that has subsided recently. And it's just continuing on the trajectory of like indie is seen as more legitimate. And I think the only way to overcome any like stigma against it is to just have really excited authors writing awesome books, and then guys like you doing interviews with us and joining articles online and reviewing reviewing indie books and everything like that. It's just like it builds out the whole ecosystem, and that just draws more people in.
Yeah.
And I feel like indie is so much more diverse. Like there's so many more types of stories, and so you just get there's something for everybody out there. It's awesome.
It's not put in these boxes that I think traditional public. And I'm sorry that I think I read trades. I knew what you meant by that, but like what you were just saying, I think that there's these boxes that traditional publishers put these authors into. Write this to this type of people, so that Walmart can sell you 1 million copies.
Yeah.
Traditional authors are so much more diverse, genuine, hardworking. Not saying that traditional published people aren't hardworking, but I think that comes across the way that I hope it does when I say that. So yeah, legitimacy is something I hope that I really pound home. I hope that I can pound that point home, like you just said.
Yeah.
That's very important because lots of people hear indie and they're like, oh, it's not gonna be as good. Oh, let me throw you some books, that I promise will
so
stun
many
you.
good indie books. They'll probably be like some of your favorite books.
Guaranteed,
for a
I
lot
promise.
of people. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you. I know that we've had this scheduled for a little while, and
yeah, I was looking forward to it the whole time.
Me too. Absolutely. And I've had so much fun. And really, until next time, guys, once again, thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
For sure. And thank you for everybody that stopped to talk with us and who will watch it in the future. And until next time, guys,
yeah,
have a good night.